Lesson 4, with the use of movement lines, you'll see how to recognize port-de-bras and the path of the movement. I hope by now you feel a little more comfortable in establishing yourself in the notated syllabus. And it might be an idea to just open up the children's work and have a look at a few of the examples and see if you can recognize the positions. Not worrying about any of the movements, but just being able to place yourself, which is what we need to do. And if you find any of the material a little bit vague, you should go back and just review that again so that you're really clear before going on. Because now we're going to work on movement, particularly with the arms. It's something that I have found very useful for teachers to look at the notation and be able to solve some of their questions, answer some of their questions. So we'll start with, again, our placing ourselves in bras and first position, and now look at how we can show that the arms have moved to a different position. In this bar, I've shown that the feet are still in first, but the arms are in fifth. And the question is, how have the arms arrived in fifth position? If we go back to the theory of the light bulbs with the arms, I'll show you first. I'm in first position with my feet, and my arms are in bras, and I'd like to show a path moving through second to fifth. So if you take the lights out again and just watch my light bulbs, they started at the bottom and we trace the path going sideways and up to fifth. And it's very easy to show that in notation. I simply place my pencil or my chalk where I started and trace the path to where I finished. Immediately, now you can see how visual the path of the movement is. And it's very clear that from this position that I started in, I'm moving to fifth. I know that it's not the other way around because I've notated the destination, or where I end up. I've notated the fifth position, and my movement lines have been placed where I started and traced the path to where I end up. Now I'd like to write that same ending position, but now there's another way of going through to fifth position. I could conceivably go from bras, and I'm showing you sideways for a reason, forward and up to fifth. Now this adds a little bit of a dilemma because I'm working with a two-dimensional thing and I need to show some depth. First of all, let's look at the path, what it looks like from the back. So I'm in bras and I'm going to fifth. So my light bulbs really haven't separated that much, and if I start here, I can show that they're curving outwardly but staying fairly close together. And what I do to add depth to my movement lines is a little cross over the top of the movement line tells me that I have moved farther forward than my starting or finishing position, which you can see is true if you watch again. My arms are slightly in front, and where I'm going to end up is here, but the path in between goes farther forward than where I started or finished. And that way, with this sign on the line, it tells me that. If I did not have that sign there, then I would have to literally follow the path that I had written, which would be from here to there. And that's not something we normally use in classical ballet. So you'll find this little cross here to be a very common thing in showing port-de-bras. Now I'm going to show second position, so we'll start back in our first position with our arms in bras, and I want to go to second. So I've written my destination, where I end up. And again, we don't know how we got there. can you see what my path is from what I've just written? Remember that if I use my light bulb theory, I'm tracing the path where I started to where I finished. So if I try to reproduce that path exactly, I'm in my bra ba again, and if I follow the path as it is written, I just went straight out to the side and up to second. Using the information that we have discussed in qualifying the movement line, see if you can figure out what I'm doing here. I'm still going to go to second from bra ba. And if I follow this path literally, as I did before, my arms will have to bend. It's an inward curve. So to follow this literally, I would have to do that. But now I'm going to qualify the line as I did when I went from bra ba to fifth. And this is telling me that my arms have passed through a position that's farther forward than where I started or finished. So now you can see that my arms are staying closer together and then moving to second, and that means I'm showing, and I'll show it to you facing you, I'm going forward and then opening out to the side. And that's how I can show moving from bra ba through first to second position. Let's just backtrack for a moment. I'd like to show you the intermediary positions to arrive here. So I'm going to go back to my fifth position. I'm in bra ba, and I will travel to, I'll use this one first, I'll travel to second position. And then I will travel to fifth position. So basically I've shown this pattern, but I've divided it up in two. And I've gone from bra ba, reverse to second position, and then reverse back up to fifth position. Now let's do the same thing, the same process. But now I'm going to show you that one. So I was in bra ba and I went to first, and then I went to fifth. And the way I got there was I stayed in front. You'll notice that now I don't need to qualify the lines because I've shown this position in between. From bra ba, I've gone to first position. You'll also notice that I haven't rewritten the feet. Whenever you're in notation and you notice that nothing has been repeated, it means there's been no change. So I can assume that if I have notated first position here and that I don't have any feet in these pictures, that my feet have not moved. Now let's go to this one here, and let me show you the various pictures that I've passed through. There's my bra ba, and there's my first, and I can simply open to second position from there. Now again, I haven't had to qualify it because I've gone through first position and then opened to second position. And now I can show all kinds of different port de bras simply by tracing the path that they make before I show the destination. So we'll just try a few more, and I'm going to do it in a series of motions that connect together so that you can see how it works. We'll start in feet in first. Now, just let me explain what I've just drawn. I'm in first position with my arms in bras-bas, and I'm not going to rewrite my feet because they aren't going to move. And I've taken both arms to first position. That's just above the waist there. And I've got one arm opening to the side, which would be my right arm. I have my left arm going to fifth. I have my left arm opening to second, and both arms coming to bras-bas. Now sometimes it helps to keep it clear so that I'm sure I know which arm is moving if I just rewrite the other arm in, and that way I know that I've got my right arm moving to the side and my left arm stays still, and I know that it's my left arm that's going to fifth, my right arm stays still, and so on. That's usually only added if it needs to be made clear, because as I mentioned before, these dotted lines that I've been using are only so that we can place ourselves from right and left, but we don't normally use them in notation. Now let me just try another one on the second line, and I'm going to eliminate these center dotted lines now. Again, we'll start with our feet in first, but let's start in a different position with our arms. Now you'll notice that I'm moving both arms together. I started in fifth with my feet in first. They opened to second. They came across to first position and then straight down to bras-bas. So if you follow the path of the movement lines with the arms, you should be able to see how they can go from one position to the next. And if you have a question about how to go from, say, bras-bas to fifth, you'll be able to tell simply by following the path of the movement lines. Now we're going to use a demonstrator, and on the screen you will see the demonstrator showing you the movements as well as the notation, and try to follow the movement lines as they are on the notation while the dancer is showing you the same motions. With the feet in first and the arms in bras-bas, Michelle breathes the arms to demi-seconde and then back down to bras-bas. Notice how the movement lines in the notation match the movement that Michelle is demonstrating. Now the feet are in first with the arms in fifth, and the arms open through second, and continue down to bras-bas. The feet are in first, and the arms are in bras-bas, and Michelle is moving her arms through second to fifth without stopping, and then back through second to bras-bas. The feet are in first and the arms are in bras-bas, and Michelle is lifting her arms forward through first and up to fifth without stopping. Notice that the arms are passing farther forward than the starting or finishing position. Feet are in first and arms are in bras-bas, and the arms are passing forward through first and opening to second position. The feet are in fifth with the right foot in front and the arms are in bras-bas. They're passing through first to fourth with the right arm high, changing overhead with the left arm coming on top. The right arm passes through first and joins the left in fifth position, and the arms open through second to bras-bas without stopping.